Lush, ripe, rolling vineyards bask in the sunshine. The very best of red wine to go with some of the finest French cuisine. And the wine that comes from the high-performance sports cars. These are the sights and sounds of the most famous 24-hour race in history. But today we are not in Le Mans, France. Today the racing is not 24 hours, but 10 hours. These are the red clay hills of Georgia, and we're at one of America's premier road courses, which today has drawn racing superstars from all around the globe.
Bienvenue à Road Atlanta pour la course Petit Le Mans. Merci beaucoup et j'espère que vous aurez beaucoup de plaisir.
Bienvenue à Road Atlanta et bienvenue au Petit Le Mans.
Welcome to the inaugural Petit Le Mans here at the new Road Atlanta.
This is the international debut of the new look Road Atlanta circuit, where we are just minutes away from the start of one of the most exciting sports car events in North America for many years, and it's known as the Petit Le Mans. Hello everybody and welcome, Derek Daly here. Now the Le Mans 24-hour race in France is by far the most famous test of endurance in all of motor racing. Well, today we've imported an event that many people hope will be the stabilization of sports car racing in North America for many years to come. With me today to discuss it is a man who drove these cars for so many years, Jeremy Dale. And Jeremy, the great thing about the paddock here is when you go up and down, you see some of the most significant sports cars in the world today right here.
Well, absolutely, Derek. We have just a phenomenal group of cars assembled this weekend, and those include the Yost team with their LMP Spiders that won the 96 and 97 Le Mans 24-hour race, the factory Porsche team with their GT1 car that won this year at Le Mans, and of course the Momo team with their Ferrari 333 SP that won this year's Daytona 24-hour, Sebring 12-hour, and Watkins Glen 6-hour. So a phenomenal group of cars, and we have the drivers to go along with it because we've got dozens of drivers that have won all of these races many times over.
And to give you a close-up look at those cars, a man who will be up and down the pit lane for us all day today, Calvin Fish. Calvin?
Well, Derek, when we're at Le Mans, we always say to win that event, first you have to beat Porsche. And that may be the case here in the inaugural Petit Le Mans. Alan Knish scorched his way around this racetrack yesterday and claiming the pole position in his 98 GT1 Porsche. But to win an event here in the States this year, one of the endurance events, first you have to beat one of Kevin Durant's Ferraris. And they're going to be starting alongside. They've won the 24 hours of Daytona, they've won the 12 hours of Sebring, and most recently took the 6 hours of the Glen. Mauro Baldi and Didier Tays team up once again, this time with Freddie Lienhardt, as they go for their 4th classic victory of the season. Now joining me here today in pit lane will be a man who has more laps around this racetrack than any driver in the field, Jeff Perner.
Thanks, Calvin. This racetrack has undergone a complete transformation over the past several months. This 30-year-old famous facility is a new racetrack. There are many changes. As you can see, we have this beautiful pit lane to work out of today. Then also around the racetrack, we have improved barriers, runoff areas, gravel traps. The place just doesn't look the same. One of the biggest changes is the removal of the dip. We now have 2 corners, turns 10A, 10B, or turn 11 is often referred to. And this is a slower section. This is going to provide great overtaking and also a terrific area for the fans to spectate at. Now, this is not the area, though, that the number 5 Panos car went off yesterday, unfortunately, with Johnny O'Connell driving, and unfortunately is also withdrawn from the race.
What you don't see from our Porsche track map is the tremendous elevation changes that we also have here at Road Atlanta. Now, another member of our broadcast crew is the man who won the great Le Mans 24-hour race back in 1996, Davy Jones. Davy, I know during that great event, strategy played a key role to victory. Will that be the same, you think, here?
Absolutely, Derek. It's the variation of strategy that plays a very important part. Le Mans, it's 8.1 miles in length. Here at Road Atlanta, it's 2.5 miles. The wear and tear on the cars itself and the drivers, you know, one of the key things at Le Mans is we were able to triple stint our tires, which saved us so much time in the pits, not having to change each pit stop. Here at Road Atlanta, the Yost team told me this morning that they were going to be able to double stint their tires where the GT1 factory Porsche car can only single stint their tires, which means the LMP car is a lot lighter in weight, can go further versus the heavier GT1 car, and I think that's the key role in the race win today or strategy.
So let's quickly go and look at our BMW starting grid. Look at this, Uwe Olsen, Yannick Delmas and Alain McNish who put this car on the pole. It's the Porsche factory GT1 car, sister car to the one they won the Le Mans 24-hour race in. Ferrari right behind. Third and fourth, Porsche and Ferrari again. The great names of sports car racing just littered all the way down through the field here. Move on down. Ferrari again on the row number 3, beside the first of the Riley and Scott Ford-powered cars, the Mark III, Scott Schubert, Henry Camperdam, and Butch Leitzinger. Thierry Boutin is in the champion Porsche. He is lined up in 8th place, and you go down through it. Philippe Gache in the number 21 car was scratched because of an engine blow-up this morning. There's one of the first Panos cars. The Brabham Pruitt Wallace and Eric Bernard has moved into that car because of the crash yesterday.
And you can see in 14th, that was the new Jim Downing car, the 4-rotor Mazda, as we move back here into the 9th and 10th rows. And this is where we get into the slower GT2 and GT3 cars.
But what a fight we have here, again, all season long between BMW and Porsche. The Constructors' Championship has not been decided yet in GT3. We'll update you on that later on, but you look down through the field. Jeremy, you have to say this is probably the most ideal weather conditions here in Road Atlanta today. Just not too hot, glorious sunshine.
It is just perfect. I mean, it's not too hot, it's not too breezy, and the racetrack's in great shape.
Now we have lots of onboard cameras for you this weekend also. This is the number 6 BMW. Bentley, Besnard from Australia, Jeff Schaefer, and Dennis Law. The number 10 BMW will also carry one of our onboard cameras. This is Bill Oberlin. He is the fastest of the BMW drivers. Mark Simo and Andy Pilgrim also scheduled to run in this car. The number 38 GT1 Porsche. This is the Terry Boutsen car. This is the car that Terry Boutsen won the US RC Championship with this year. The largest Porsche seller in the world of champions. Then we have Wayne Taylor's car, the number 7 Ferrari. And you have to hear this. You'll go on board and let you listen to the screams of this Ferrari V12 engine. We also have Didier Vase in another Ferrari. This is the number 27 car. This is run by Kevin Dorn. You're familiar with him from the Lomo Porsche and the success they have had. And right up ahead of Didier Vase, you will see the number 26 Porsche. This is the man on the road. This is the factory Porsche here that everybody will chase. And remember, in long distance races, as Calvin Fish told us at the top of the show, to win, you have to beat the Mitre Porsche. The Mitre Porsche are here with the factory car, Alain McNish. This is also the FIA GT car that has gone so well today, ran so well at Suzuka. The clock will start. As soon as they go across the line here, they're almost cleared up with this oil. Now this is where the Panos crashed on oil yesterday, destroyed the car, backed it into the wall, smashed it enough that they had no hope to rebuild it, so they must clear up this oil. But remember, 1,000 miles of racing, or 10 hours, whichever comes first, and we'll be right here to show you everything. We'll be right back. The premier Petit Le Mans on Speed Vision is being brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Okay, boys, get set. Get set. Here's a new turn 10. This is the famous difference. You turn 10 to the left, and then a right-hand corner. You go up the hill, huge elevation change, over the bridge, down the last right-hander. And then the mayor of Le Mans, France,
the 77 car, the Yost car, has fallen back a few positions here in the early part of this opening lap. So I wonder if they're just going to lay back and let the pace of the race sort itself out, because all these WSC cars chase that leading Porsche.
Look at that, the Porsche factory car. Ferrari, three in a line behind the Porsche factory car.
This is on board one of the BMWs as we go through turn 6. Now, this is where we come up to 7. This is the most critical corner on the racetrack because it leads on that tremendously long back straightaway, and you need to get the big exit speed out of turn 7.
180 miles an hour here. And the top speed they gain, and they stand on the brakes. That's Diddy, Boutsen.
That's Boutsen up the inside.
That's the champion Porsche.
And he goes by the number 8 car, the Ford Riley and Scott.
What's the downhill plunge here? Look at this. Down, the fast way down.
A flat out in 5th, and at the exit there, you're about 140 miles an hour in a WSC car, maybe 145. Look at that oil dry still in this opening in this second lap. Still a lot of debris on that main straightaway. Boy, Boutsen is going after that panel.
Right way into the oil dry is that racing car run over it. David Brabham, Scott Moore, and Andy Wallace are in that panel. They share it together. Downhill plunge, the S's. Fast left-hander, racetrack change on the right side.
Their third gear accelerated up to fifth gear. Then they down change are heavy on the brakes. Carbon brakes down to third gear. Slight pickup of the throttle through turn 6. And then down to second gear. One of the units are going Jeremy to get the most speed out to the back straightaway. Second gear up to sixth gear.
And I remember these Porsches when they came out in 96 seemed so radical. And now you compare that to the leading car, the 98 GT1 car, and it looks like a pretty normal race car.
Inside, Thierry Boutsen still chases the silver Vistion Panos cars.
It's tough to describe how steeply downhill it goes after the bridge there. Boy, Boutsen getting very close, having a look in turn 1, showing his nose to the Panos.
Scott Pruitt is in the Panos. He starts the car. Pruitt, drafted in this weekend, has been so successful in everything he ever stepped into. Sports cars, Trans Am, IndyCar. Back with the leader. He is not rolling away here. He is not running away with it. This is good though. He's in control. But Didier Thays is right there in the Ferrari. You bring up an interesting point, Jeremy, about Thierry Boutsen's Porsche. Looks so radical. Then, of course, the factory brought out this car here, which for all intents and purposes is just the epitome of a racing sports car.
Watch the gear change there on the dash. Right in the middle of his dash is his gear indicator. He's in third right now.
Watch him go down the hill. Look at this. Down the hill. Plunges down.
And they're short shifting. As they come up and over the hill, they're short shifting from second to third to fourth to get into fifth gear for the downhill right-hander. They're just short shifting all the way through. And as you go over that hill, the front of the car gets a bit light and floats to the left side of the track.
Calvin Fish in the pit lane has had a good close-up look at these cars all weekend. Calvin?
Well, Derek, just really talking about the evolution of the GT cars. I mean, McNish's car is the latest 98 Porsche, and in comparison with the 97 car that Boutsen qualified, 2.5 seconds difference in lap time, so that may be an effect throughout the race. Obviously, McNish is out front right now, but we have a very experienced line out there with Boutsen team with Bob Wallach. They both came so close to victory at the 24-hour Le Mans this year, and their team with Ralph Kellners, the German.
Believe it or not, Porsche built the car that Boutsen is in. You can take off the bonnet and it is a street 911 front clip on that car, because originally the rule designed to say build a racing car, but it was modeled on the road car. So Porsche built a racing car basically using a lot of the road car parts that you see on the 911 showroom. And this car that leads now is the second evolution, a bit of a departure obviously from the evolution of that champion car.
Yeah, this is a pretty radical race car, and the FIA GT Championship has really spawned these very radical, very highly technical race cars, and that's what this Porsche is. And it looks like Taze is now starting close that gap down just marginally.
Didier Thayes does close the gap in marginally.
5/10ths of a second quicker on that last lap. So now we can visually see that gap coming down as we go on board the Thayes coming out of turn 5 on the run up to 6.
Now he's right there.
Look at the traffic. The traffic already coming into traffic.
And where you start getting into traffic is where the lighter LMP car is going to be able to have a good advantage, able to get on the car a little bit sooner.
Look at these guys. Look at these guys. They're going to have to split these guys.
Here's the traffic. Here is the traffic. The downhill run. It plunges downhill after turns right here. Watch this. Didier Thayes on board the Ferrari. Braking zone. Now remember what Davy Jones said in the on-camera. The GT1 cars probably have to change tires every single pit stop. Maybe not for these open-top sports cars.
And I think we need to clarify that as we get into more traffic on the main straightaway. We need to clarify that.
Look at this. Didier Thayes trying to go down the inside. Wow, outside now. Side by side in turn 1.
Okay, the pressure is on now from Thayes, but we have to clarify that about the pit stop because we're running under Le Mans rules, which means you cannot fuel and change tires at the same time. So there's a distinct advantage to not changing tires. You save 10 or 12 seconds on each stop. Now this is the essence. This is where McNish can really get caught behind the slower cars. Look at that.
Good move by McNish. That's a great point about the pit stops. We're going to watch that as this race rolls on here. But this traffic is going to hold our interest all afternoon long here. So while Didier Thayes continues to put pressure on Alan McNish, we're just going to slip away for a quick commercial break, and we will be right back. See how hard not change the tires after this first stint?
Well, we'll have to wait and see, Derek. I mean, you have different tire manufacturers. It's a big tire war here between Pirelli, Michelin, Goodyear. That might be one of the reasons why the number 77 Yost Porsche of Alboreto has dropped back and is running in 5th place, just conservatively trying to just maintain his tire life so he won't have to change during this coming up pit stop. He may be able to do a double stint and perhaps to take advantage of the racetrack that way.
That's where so this Ferrari is on Yokohama's. They have been very, very strong in endurance races. They're very cagey about compound selection. They have a vast range of compounds to select from. There you go. Wow. There's a little opposite lock live in turn 7. So Didier is trying to get the power in the ground as he comes out onto the main straightaway.
And at this early stage, to see the driver just saw at the steering wheel and to fight for control of this thing, you realize this is not a cruise and collect race. This is flathead motor racing for 10 hours or 1,000 miles, whichever comes first. Traffic now affects Alan McNish. They move out of the way. They are now between the two of them, almost 15 seconds behind. We're going to drop back now to give you a feel of how the rest of the field is in line here. Eric Van der Poel is in the next Ferrari. Remember, they are not dropping back too dramatically. This is a long event. They've done this before.
Actually, Dollarhide has gotten around. And I believe that's Lazzaro on board. So these three cars now running in lockstep on the racetrack. And I believe that's Lazzaro on board the EPN car.
Yes, it is. Anthony Lazzaro right ahead of Michele Alboreto and Eric Van der Poel. Lazzaro did such a great job here in practice and qualifying. Of course, he's had a great season in the Toyota Atlantic Series this year. Won the last race in Houston. Won at Laguna Seca. Won at least 3 this weekend in the MCI Toyota Atlantic team. Doing a great job here. Look at this. Ahead of much more experience with Eric Van der Poel.
Well, that was Van der Poel, carbon copy of the Didier Thayes opposite lock there coming out of turn 7.
Perhaps you get just a little bit of heat into the rear tires, which is not allowing them to get the traction they need to come out of that second rear corner.
Look at this into traffic, and he's got Alboreto right on him. Oh, there he is, there he is.
Yes. You're on board as he tries to slide down the inside of one of the GT3 BMWs, and Alboreto sees what's going on, and he comes down the inside himself. You gotta watch ahead, you gotta watch beside you, and you've gotta watch behind you, particularly in traffic. Alboreto. And look at this. Vanderpool's now got to run up the hill. And this seesaw back and forth in traffic, this is all day. This is constant. This will never, you know, here's a replay of this. Here's a replay of this pass. And they come into traffic. Look at Alboreto just stuffing it up the inside, making it 3 wide into turn 10. Now watch, there's the BMW. Look, it's 3 wide. 3 wide. Alboreto kicks the car over the top of the curb. You like that move, Dave? Did you ever make a move like that in that car?
You know, that was a wonderful pass. I mean, you really have to have the confidence in who you're racing against, particularly in a long race like this. You don't want to take a risk of not knowing the capability of the drivers that you're diving down the inside for the fear that you might turn into. So there was some trust there.
You have to have trust. The guy you're working beside at speeds of about 80 miles an hour to the brake zone. Down through turn 10 on board for the number 6 BMW driven by Ross Bentley. But here's the battle. It still rages here. Lazzaro in the Ferrari still heads off Michele Alboreto in the Yost Porsche. Lazzaro in the yellow Ferrari. Fly yellow. There's
Where they've
Eric
pulled away.
Vanderpool.
They've pulled away from Vanderpool. And actually that MCI car is catching Vanderpool. And there's the first Panos.
BMW GT3 cars. They're embroiled in a battle all of their own. As you can see our full field come down here. Pick out your favorite driver here. Or the BMWs, I mean the mixture here. Alan McNish has probably never raced a car as fast as he's in. With up cars, relative terms, which are slow some of the cars out here. So this is uncharted territory also for Alan McNish.
Well, that's the thing. At Le Mans, there's no such thing as a GT3 category. They have GT1 cars and GT2 cars. But these GT3 cars are not nearly as quick as the GT2 cars. And that creates these closing rates that are just phenomenal.
Plus at Le Mans, you have such longer straightaways, more time to relax, more time. You know, in fact, the slower cars at Le Mans really stay to the one side of the circuit to let the faster cars go by. Where here at Road Atlanta, you don't really have that option because you have so many tighter turns and shorter straightaways.
Davey, you mentioned in your on-camera about the physical difficulties of dealing with the racetrack. To give you an idea, most teams have got 3 drivers here in a 10-hour race. Now, Sebring in the old days of the GTP car, the 12-hour race, was just 2 drivers. This is physically so much more difficult. And a team like the Yost Porsche have a powerhouse team of Alboreto, Stefan Johansson, and Jörg Müller, who's a very quick young German driver. Look at the fight here again with Didier Thays. He sees McNish in the Porsche GT1 right about 10 car lengths ahead of him, and that's where it seems to stay. Close up under braking, then the Porsche pulls away again under acceleration. Right behind them, here's the run down the straight. Oh, look at the Porsche pull away under power. Under power, that second, third gear turbocharged boost of power just gives McNish a nice cushion of breathing space. And then Didier Thays closes up in the braking zone. Right there, tucked up right behind the rear wing. Now And we hear from the pit lane that the factory Porsche team will only change 2 left side tires in this first pit stop. So they realize the challenge from these WSC cars could be mighty. So they've just changed 2 left side tires on Alan McNish's car.
Will be interesting is when Boot hit it to clean out the radiator screen in front. They took on fuel, but they didn't change tires. So it'll be interesting to see how much ahead or advantage will have when all the other cars stop.
Right. One more on McNish.
Love turn 1. This is one of the most, here's the 29 car.
Uh-oh. Sam Brown, Luca, and Simon Gregg, and Ken Drummond are all down to drive that car. This is Riley and Scott Mark III. Oh, yikes. They were late to practice here.
That car is leaking some fluid, guys. I think that car's putting some fluid down.
Maybe.
See that? Did you see that? Maybe that was just because it was sitting there idling and overheated.
Well, was that the reason, Jeremy, that he went off the road? Maybe he went off on his own fluid. Turn 10. That was weird. Something blew out from that left front wheel as he jumped on the brakes.
Is that fluid coming out the back?
Yes,
They're pouring out the back.
Absolutely, that is. There's a hot engine gasping for more cold fluid. The lone Vistion Panos, David Brabham, Scott Coon, and Andy Wallace. Scott Coon is in this car. The sister car was destroyed in a huge crash. Believe it or not, we believe the reason the other car went off the road is because of oil dropped by the Panos hybrid electro power regeneration machine. Is that what you call it?
I just made
that up.
Yeah, we will talk about that hybrid car later. There are 2 Panos in the race, but there's a very unique car, this hybrid car that is a V8 powered car, along with an electric motor and a battery and supplement power. We'll get to that because that's a very unique car.
Watch the light on the dashboard. Alan McNish doesn't have to look at his rep count. He sees the light. He knows that he needs to change gear. Right now he's in control. The premier Petit Le Mans on Speed Vision is being brought to you by Porsche. We wish to remind you, there is no substitute. And Porsche roll on here. We had traffic jams up and down both highways here trying to get in today for the first Petit Le Mans. The factory Porsche car has dominated right from the start. Pit stops is the next thing on Alan McNish's mind. We already know they will change just left side tires. We believe on pit stop number 2 they'll change all 4. Then they monitor very carefully and very closely the tire wear, the temperature of the racetrack, the temperature of the ambient temperature, because sometimes this comes down to the correct tire choice.
Like Eric Vanderpool said, was that they had to start on the tires they qualified on.
Good point, yes. That's tough to use in qualifying specials to get a good position here.
So they may have used a softer compound to get a quicker time that may not have lasted as long for the start of the race.
Maybe what happened to Wayne Taylor.
Could be.
Because we saw a WSC car, the lightweight car, have to change all 4 tires at the end of that stint. And he stopped a lot earlier than the factory Porsche team. Look at this here. We are in trouble. Our leader in that category is Franz Conrad, who drives with Jan Lammers 911 Turbo GT2. And he is in all sorts of trouble.
And again, so far, not a lot of damage done and tremendous amount of restraint here to just drive that car in slowly. And he can have a good look at that rear tire through his outside mirror there, so he clearly knows what's going on.
And you can see inside the car that the driver is undoing his seatbelts, preparing for a driver change.
Get Jan Lammers in the car. Lammers wants to come back and do a full season of racing next year, either in Europe or in America. But Franz Conrad, there's only 3 wheels on his wagon here as he slowly gets down without doing too much damage. And Jeff, you're down there?
the lane. Franz Conrad is coming in. The Porsche. Jan Lammers is still getting ready, but he should have plenty of time here to be able to make the driver change. Fuel goes over the wall, fuel going in.
Now 1 sec. Yeah, fuel going in. And again, some of these crews are not used to the Le Mans regulations. So that crewman started to go after that wheel. They called him off.
The only thing you're allowed to do while you're fueling is to make a driver change. You're not allowed to clean the windshield, touch the car in
got
any
a
way.
lot of sequence here.
Now the car goes up. Now the tire changing begins.
Conrad got out, Lammers in.
So Jan Lammers gets in. One of the reasons why they don't want wheels being changed while the fueler puts fuel in. If the wheels are off and the car goes on fire, you can't push it away from the pit lane.
Guys, I don't see a nut on this left rear wheel, and I think they're looking around for the nut. Okay, they found it. He found it.
You know what? This is not as easy as they wanted it to be. That's the safety clip he just sticks on. The second crew member, but look at the tire there, just destroyed. Now, we have had 2 punctures in an hour. 2 punctures inside an hour. We don't know whether it was traffic related, but 2 punctures inside the first hour.
Well, Dan Paul said, you know, there a lot of debris. I mean, there must have been 100 pounds of making down the racetrack, you know, on that pace lap. So a lot of debris. That shouldn't affect tire punctures. You see the 29 car going behind the wall, and that is that WOC, that Riley Scott.
That was leaking. It had something leaking out the back of it earlier.
Yeah, that was the car we saw leaking in turn 10.
So we have yet to see the first pit stop from our leading Porsche or our BMWs. When that happens, we'll be right here.
Obviously costly time out on the racetrack. I tried to get hold of Reinhold Joost. This team is so professional. They know to win these events, you have to keep the car on the racetrack. And this was basically a situation with driver error. They said he was about 7 miles an hour over the pit lane speed limit, and that's going to be a very costly factor in this race.
And for those of you familiar with sports car racing, you can't help but recognize the name of Reinhold Joost. And he is here. He is in the pit lane, has been in here all weekend long, watching over this car. But look at the traffic jam here.
Well, and this is
with
the leader. With the leader. We're on board with the leader, who's going to now put the 77 car down a lap if the 77 car doesn't start hustling.
It is David Brabham in that Panos. David Brabham has a new helmet color scheme. I've never seen it before. He is the man in the number 4 Panos. The leading car just puts a lap on him, and Alboreto is running for his life here. He does not want to get a lap down. He needs to run. He needs to run hard here. Although there is factory cooperation here, as we take a look at our Porsche race reset, the current leader is the factory car from Germany, the 911 GT1. We've had 2 lead changes, mainly because of our pit stops, and the Porsche factory car has led 41 laps. They had 42, but there is traffic jams everywhere. Didier says he's on the freeway here. There's traffic everywhere. That's the hybrid Panos that we mentioned earlier, right in front of Didier Thay's, probably one of the most interesting cars that has raced for many, many years. Because the hybrid Panos that you're watching here, right ahead of Didier Thay's, also has an electric motor that runs parallel to the drive shaft, and there is power regeneration, particularly under braking, and they charge batteries that produces
Right now, he's charging his battery.
Charge the batteries, which then turns into power as much as 90 horsepower in addition to the power of the engine, and makes this car faster. The only problem is, we mentioned it's a hybrid, it's about 450 pounds heavier than the standard Panos, and you need a lot of horsepower to drag 450 pounds of weight around.
Well, when they need that extra power, it's almost like a nitro button that's on a steering wheel. And when you play the video arcade, you need that extra little bit of thrust. You got almost 90 90 horsepower of extra thrust going through the same input shaft, same drive as the engine.
Here's the fight in the front here. Dalmas in the factory car right behind Alboreto. Alboreto needs to stay ahead here. He does not want to get a lap down. And David Brabham now has the panos on full song and hangs on to the back of Yannick Dalmas in the Mobil 1 number 26 Porsche.
And whatever that problem was that the Panos team had, they have dropped it back to 8th, as you can see as we go through the overall standings. So Brabham now is going to have to pedal that car, and he is down a lap. He would love to get that lap back. And of course, as you said, Derek, Alboreto does not want to go down a lap, and he seems to be able to hang in front of the 26 car for now.
That's what he needs. That's what he needs. And I doubt if Dalmas will take a big risk and try and force the issue if he cannot get by with ease by Michele Alboreto.
Dalmas is on relatively new tires compared to Alboreto and Yost.
That's right.
Second step.
So towards the end of this stint, as they lap one of the GT1 BMWs down the inside of the braking zone, Alboreto still hangs on ahead of the factory car. Plunge down the hill again for lap 44. 10 hours or 1,000 miles at the Petit Le Mans. And the factory Porsche controls it. Don't go away and we won't either. The premier Petit Le Mans on Speed Vision is being brought to you by Toyota. Get the most out of your day, every day. That might look like a serene, calm Atlanta afternoon, but have a look at here because we have horsepower all over the place here fighting for supremacy. This is a third-place battle. The Toshiba car now being driven by Wayne Taylor. He waves at the Mazda because I think he was held up and he just wanted to let him know gently.
French salute.
Yeah, that salute is actually fairly universal in any language. But Wayne Taylor is now a lap down. Doesn't make it, it's not a lot. That's only less than 2.5 miles in a 10-hour race. That is not a lot. But Wayne Taylor currently in third place.
He's not been running as quick as the leaders in the 1 minute 20, 1 minute 19 range. The leader has been running in the 18s and 19s. And Didier Taylor, who's running in second place, is running in the 1 minute 17, 1 minute 18 region. So trying to make up for that early puncture. Oh, we have the Marcos here, which is slowed down. This is Chevrolet V8 Power GT2 car.
Cor Oyser, Harold Becker, and Christian Van have brought this Marcos over from Europe. We have not seen any of these cars race in North America, but they are in trouble. There is something fairly serious and dramatic wrong with the back of that car.
And this is on the racetrack, on the back straightaway. If we pull back from that shot, there are cars going by at about 180 miles an hour right behind where this car is. And I don't think that's a particularly safe or smart place to pull that car to the side.
No yellows in the event so far.
He must be wanting to try and get it towed back to the pits if at all possible.
Now, can we tow this car back or get it out? Wow, look at the speed of these things going by.
That is not a very safe place to have that car.
You know what? They may be forced to go full course yellow here because you cannot bring a tow truck out when the cars go by at this speed here.
But you know, when you do that, you don't endear yourself to the chief steward by doing that, by forcing them to go to the full course yellow.
Where is that on?
That is just out of turn 7, about a third of the way up the straightaway, just at the first crest of the hill. That's the chicane that we don't use, that we put in a number of years ago for the SEC and runoffs. So the cars there are probably going 145 miles an hour, the GT1 cars. As we pan down here, we'll see turn 7.
Cor Oyser, of course, is the lead driver and the owner of this car. I believe he's in our pit lane with Calvin. Calvin?
Well, what seems to be the problem with the car out on the racetrack? Obviously, at start, you're going to try and address the situation.
They'll have to restart the smoke, so it can be a transaxle problem or a tire or a suspension. We don't know yet, so we try to discover what it is.
Which driver is in the car right now?
It's Harold Becker is in the car.
And what is his mechanical ability if he has to get out of there and fix it for him? So you have a a bit of a problem, I think, but we're going to go out there and see if we can help him.
We have an even bigger problem here. We have an even bigger problem here for Didier Hayes because the Ferrari is broken.
Is this fuel, do you think? They were close to their window. We were expecting them in. Do you think they tried to stretch it just one lap too many, and now he has stopped on the racetrack?
I sure hope not. Anthony Lazzaro just said in their Ferrari they have problem picking up the fuel.
And this is not far from the pit lane. This is coming down into the dip, into the braking zone.
Oh, no. This is not good for Didier Hayes.
Now, as a driver, you're allowed to work on the car yourself. You can get assistance from the crew, but you're not allowed to get any help.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's just how it turns out. That's just before where the Marcos is. So that's not quite as close to pit lane as I thought.
See the yellow flag at the top of the picture? That tells everybody that you will come across an incident. Didier Hayes is on the radio right now to Kevin Dorn. Wow, did this take one out of Fury? Or did it break? This is the battle here. This is second place, and this is third place. This is a battle. They are not a lap down to each other. This is a straight fight here. Michele Alboreto versus David Murray. They have both stayed in the car right from the start. This is a dust-up here. David Murray here wants to make a point. This is his home track. He lives just down the road. David Murray, who struggled so long to become a professional racer driver in the sports car ranks, is having a good day here. So David Murray, number 77 car number 1. Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Look at this. This is not where,
he has a good run.
This is how Murray got it done before.
This is tricky. He might sneak 2 cars down the inside. That's a 4 just for Wiley and Scott car.
That's the 29 car back out.
That's his sister car. That was 28 car. John Field, John Hero, and Joaquin DeSoto, Jared Schroeder.
29 of Sam Brown went back behind the wall.
So Alboreto has his hands full here. Murray's got to win this. But you have to produce the sandwich. You have to just be so careful. You can't be too brave. We are less than 2 hours into this 10-hour event. 10 hours or 1,000 miles. Whatever goes first. And right now, we're green all the way. If this thing goes green all the way, we will not get near 10 hours. We'll probably go 8.5 hours. Almost in the 200-mile mark. As you see, Didier Hayes, they're still out on the back straightaway, and that should be covered with a standing yellow as we do the WSC stands. We'll go down through the order here by class to give you a breakdown of that. We're approaching the 200-mile mark, so almost a fifth of the way there, mileage-wise. And as they go down this front straight, our loop is on to the left-hand side of the driver right there. And I mentioned earlier that this is a lot of volunteer flagmen that come to events like this. And we got to know the workers outside turn 1. They're from the Black Hawk Valley, Northwest Indiana region, and the Chicago regions of the SCCA. And their passion is to come and work at sports car races on both sides of the pond. They look to the Europe they can. Essentially, they are here to enjoy the international event here. Good work, fellas. Good work on those flag stations.
Look at Murray gets
Yikes.
Murray got pitched out.
And that is scary. That's the Conrad car, I believe, is it?
Yeah, Lammers.
That is Lammers. Oh, yeah. He's not used to being overtaken by the bigger sports cars because Lammers, of course, won the Le Mans 24-hour race for Jaguar back in 1988.
Well, Murray was so close to tucked in behind Alboreto that Lammers probably didn't think there was another car there. Didn't expect another car. There is Didier Hayes still trying to get back to pit lane. Jeff Burner can give us an update. Jeff.
That's right. The Didier Hayes cars obviously run out of fuel on the course. He tried for a while to get it back in on the starter, but then killed the battery. So what they're having to do now is to bring a battery out to him, install it, and try to get back again on that starter. The rules do not permit refueling on the course, so he is stuck with trying to get in that starter. And that's going to be difficult as he goes through the turn 10 section and up that hill. That's going to be an awfully strong starter.
Didier Hayes is going to have to be the one to replace that starter.
Wow. David Murray bringing in. This is a schedule celestial pit stop. He brings it in. This has been a great run by David Murray. It really has. Now he is partnered with Jim Matthews and Hurley Haywood. Hurley Haywood will take over and continue this good run. Hurley Haywood, of course, just a master of long-distance races. Calvin, you're there?
Yes, I am, and as you said, Hurley Haywood has jumped in, taken over from David Murray. Remember, David Murray has many miles around this racetrack. He's a local lad from Atlanta, and he has a lot of miles around this racetrack. That probably accounts for some of his performance here today. But I do believe I heard the engine momentarily fire up, so that may have been some miscommunication when the crew had gone to work. Meanwhile, the fuel has obviously been put in. The crew has gone to work with the two guns, remember. The rear tires are being tightened up as we speak. They're putting the pins in the gun. The engine is now fired back up. And there's some loose bodywork. They're trying to put some loose bodywork on the back of this car. This is something I remember that David Murray had happened at Le Mans. He flipped the wall over there, and I think it was James Weaver who was driving the Yost car when the bodywork came loose and caused him to lose control of the car. So hopefully they addressed that situation, and Hurley Haywood is back on track.
Now, as we watch Hurley Haywood go back out, the 93 car is stopped. 93 car, the Nissan 240 SX. Tyler Collado and Rob Wilson were down to drive that car, but maybe no more. Have a look at this. Dave just got out of the Ferrari, got the battery from his mechanics who were over the wall on the left-hand side, had to go back, load the thing in, and now he physically has to do it himself. They are the rules of Le Mans and have been for years. The only person allowed to work on the racing car out on the track is the driver. He can be assisted from over the pit wall, but nobody can go to help him. What a tough day for Didier Days. Not good.
I think they were trying to make up that time, and they're trying to stretch that last final lap.
Yeah, and it is very costly. I mean, it's over. The race is over now. It's over. You'll never make it that much time. But Didier Days had to unbuckle his seatbelt, get out of the racing car. Wow, have a look at this here, look. As soon as he knows the mechanics are there, Jeremy, look at this. Run to the wall, there's the mechanic. Hands him the battery. That's not very light, by the way. Dave, you remember the days when we drove the Jaguar? We had sessions in the pits where the mechanics would show us how to do all these things, so as in the event of something silly like this happening, you had half a chance to get the thing going again.
Well, we always had.
Hang on, let's listen. See, can he just fire this thing off? Dead.
He's not getting.
You know what? He's pouring the starter out. That may be what happened.
Well, they're done. Effectively, they're done.
I remember once at Le Mans, Derek, when you were being told by the radio how to disassemble the back of the gearbox, you could change the selector fork to get the car back to the pits.
I know what you remember that. We were together in the fastest car in the race. You put the thing on the pole. At the end of your first stint, we were a minute and a half to the lead, and then at my double stint, we were almost 3 minutes to the lead. It was the fastest car together. One of the great drives of this race so far has to be David Murray, and he is standing by the Calvin.
There, and it looked like an exciting battle out there, David. Obviously chasing that US Porsche, the one that you drove at Le Mans this year.
Yeah, it's nice to see it from inside the cockpit instead of behind it. Yeah, it was a great battle. I can tell you. The only way I could try to get around was I had to wait for the shot to get right because he had a lot of straightaways, but I had a lot more handling. So it was difficult to make the pass. I had to wait to make the swing. But I know there were a lot of times I get beside him and I'd pass other cars that would get me back up to him because having a home track advantage does help. I noticed early in when you went to pass someone, I knew where the blind corners were, where you go offline, and get a little more time, so that helped quite a bit.
Your team has had kind of an abbreviated season. You've really struggled at times to find the performance in the car that you would like to see. And obviously the time off has been well spent, and you're now obviously running very strongly towards the end of the season.
We've worked pretty hard since Sebring the last race. The guys have done a lot of research, and we've tried to get the car better. Bill Riley's done his work. We've got a different coach this weekend to set the car up. And the car is very nice. I think it's also good to the tires, so the tires won't go away. And that's what I'm really seeing out there. And Porsche has beginning, but then we were able to stay up there because of the extra downforce of the setup.
Being from Atlanta, Porsche North America now being based in Atlanta, and they're obviously looking at this Le Mans series for next year. Anyway, this is all going to come together for you for next year as well?
Well, you know, first we've got to decide what the series is going to do, and then I think they're going to announce, or they already have announced, the race schedule. And then Porsche going to decide whether they're going to run them. And then I've got to decide. So, they have to decide what will happen. So, sure, I'd love to be with them, but, you know, we'll have to wait and see what turns up the next couple weeks to a month. Good luck today. Thank you very much.
Get the headstone ready, boys, because you've seen the last of this car in serious contention. This is just way too much time gone by. Maybe they can drag this thing back off the racetrack. And remember, even over the wall, when it's outside the pit lane, the mechanics still cannot work on the car. They can help Didier, assist him, give him all the guidance possible, but they can't actually do it for him. He's now down the escape road, well off the racetrack. Welcome back to the Petit Le Mans from Road Atlanta.
I always love the challenge of getting in a race car in the middle of a race, that first time you get in, and having to go out and drive flat out from the very beginning.
That's the key. You don't get time to warm up. You need to go fast right now. David, remember in the Jaguar days, we had a bicycle. You had to get on a stationary bike to bring your heartbeat up to what it would be in the racing car. Be hot and sweaty, and away you go and get in.
That's why the teams have physiotherapists here to really get you prepped, get you ready, get you in your mind and focus, so that when you do get in the car, you want to get in the car and you want the car to feel like it's the same driver driving it all the time. So you're going through all the same motions. Then you want to continue on the same pace for the overall strategy as well. So that's probably why you see in the beginning the number 26 Works Porsche, they're doing one stint, making a driver change just to get them all into the routine for the longevity of the race. And the 26 Works Porsche is one lap into the lead, but then from second all the way down to 7th place is relatively close.
Yes, it is. One lap is only 2.5 miles long here, and not the 8+ miles of the Le Mans 24-hour race.
Well, so far this car is about the only car in the top 10 that hasn't encountered some small kind of problem. Just about everyone else in the top 10 has encountered some small little problem. This car, we saw, had an extended pit stop because they had a brake pad clip come loose on that first stop. Let's go down to Calvin. He's got Scott Pruitt.
Well, a familiar name on the driver's seat, but obviously very dissimilar car, Scott. What's it like jumping in this painter?
It's a lot different than what I'm used to. You know, about 1,000 more pounds or so, a lot smaller tires, less brakes, but you know, it's fun. You know, the Visteon guy, you know, we're sponsored by Visteon with the kart program. Came and did this, I did it with Daytona, did it here. It's a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of work. Different than our series, there's a huge differential in speed between the fastest cars and the slowest. And you have to be real careful, you gotta drive as hard as you can without hitting anything.
Obviously, you got Tony Dow running the ship here, just as with the Jag days. And what does he tell you when you guys go out there?
He says, use the car as hard as possible, use it up. That's the only way we can race with the Porsche, is we have to drive fast every lap, all the time. But don't hit anything, don't hit any slow traffic, don't get off the track, but use everything else up.
Perfect. You know, what a team manager. You go as fast as you can, but don't hit anything, don't screw up, guys.
Yeah, it's easy for him to say that. Oh, yeah. And then he says, I told you so. But the number 4 Panos continues to roll on here in the Petit Le Mans. We will be right back. Welcome back to the premier Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta. And we have had a dramatic change to the race because on the back of that truck is the number 26 factory Porsche that has dominated this event. And it has just had an enormous crash, and you will be shocked when you see the video and how simple this accident happened. Jeremy Dale is beside me here in the booth. Jeremy, take us through what happens here.
Well, this is looking very routine. They come around a lap car, that's the 77 car. Now look at, he's tucked underneath the 77 car. He gets under the front of that car and just blows it open, and a big hit into the car.
It is an astonishing crash. But wait till you see this in slow-mo replay. Now, what we'll do here for you is do a freeze frame also. Jeremy.
Okay, look at how tight he is tucked in. Now keep in mind, they're cresting the hill. He's pulling probably 4th gear, right at the strongest part of 4th or 5th gear here. And you can see now a little bit of air under the front of the car. And now, once it gets to this point, it is gone. There's absolutely nothing he can do. That car is going to blow over, and there's nothing he can do about it.
Takes off like an aeroplane. Dalmas is in the car. Look, he tucks his head forward. He knows he's in for a ride here, but just have a look at the height here, and we'll freeze it again when the car is upside down. Look at this astonishing pictures here. He's 25 feet in the air, completely upside down.
And luckily, the car goes straight. It doesn't really veer off the racetrack too much, and it lands on its tail. So the nose of the car is in pretty good shape. The car lands here, boom, on its tail. Obviously, a bunch of oil here comes out of the car, quick oil fire, and then the car lands and will hit the barrier. Of course, the nose flies off. But just an unbelievable accident. We're going to look at it again in real time, and we'll listen to it because it's just phenomenal. Just listen. Is okay. You can see him moving in the car there, and he did get out of the car.
He was shell-shocked.
And who wouldn't be shell-shocked?
The director of motorsports, Herbert Ampher, is in the pit lane right now live with Calvin Fish. Calvin.
Well, there's just shock down here in the Porsche pit right now. Herbert, you had a chance to look at the monitor and see what happened. What is your consensus of the incident out there on the track with Yannick?
I think he was too close to the number 77 car and lost all downforce and top of the hill.
Had you had any indication this weekend? I mean, obviously there's a lot of elevation change at this racetrack. Any problems with the car of that nature?
Absolutely nothing, but this is an aerodynamic car, and if it's too close to another car, for sure it loses downforce. And in combination with the negative acceleration on that hill, he must have lost every let me say, contact with the ground and became an airplane.
Obviously, as you say, just a set of circumstances there is a slight elevation as you come out of turn 7 and got very close to the Yost car, but obviously disappointment in this inaugural Petit Le Mans race to be out right now.
For sure, leading I think almost 6 hours and controlling everything, and then something like that. This is totally disappointing for sure. But first of all, I have to look for my driver. I hope he's okay. I had him on the radio, but we'll see.
We're sorry to see you out. Thanks, guys.
The driver is okay. The Panos team leads. Wayne Taylor on the Ferrari is second. Big update on Pete Halsmer. He has a punctured lung and a broken rib. But all action here at the Premier Petit Le Mans. The inaugural Petit Le Mans started in glorious sunshine, where the quest for success tipped almost immediately toward the factory Porsche GT1 car. As the day went on, there were incidents aplenty, as the drivers pushed themselves and their machines up to and past the limit. At just over halfway, disaster strikes for the dominant car. With Yannick Dalmas at the wheel of the leading Porsche GT1, it backflips into oblivion. But the driver walks away. Fatigue now plays a role, because the survivors head into the difficulty of the darkness. The outsiders enjoy the festivities, while some of the chariots survive the pounding. And the Panos car, driven by David Brabham, Scott Pruitt, Andy Wallace and Eric Bernard, has suddenly come to the front. And these boys are noisy and they are fast, and here's the car in chase. This is the Wayne Taylor, Emmanuel Collard, who's in the car right now, Eric Van der Poel, Ferrari 333 SP. They are less than one lap down, and Jeremy, we have watched this unfold, and this is a real fight.
Well, everyone thought it was a walkaway. Everyone was thinking that Porsche's got 2 laps. What can happen? Everything is going perfectly, and then the last thing you would ever expect to happen, this unbelievable blowover that occurred right here on the back straightaway, took the leading Porsche out, and now we have a 3-way fight because the 77 car is also involved in this. And the 77 car was involved in the crash, as we'll see again.
Have a look at this. An aeroplane takes off and disaster strikes.
And he was tucked up in behind Michele Alboreto, who was in the 77 Yost Porsche, and he lost downforce on the nose of the car as the car was torquing. You can see it's under full acceleration here as he goes up over the crest of that hill, and there's absolutely nothing he can do.
And you can see where the aerodynamics play a key role because of the rear wing created lift enough to bring the back end right up over to get him back on level playing ground.
Derek Daly, Jeremy Dale and Davy Jones here in the booth. This was an enormous development in this race. Took everybody by surprise. The Porsche factory team, everybody in the pits were absolutely in shock. The great thing about this is, as bad as this crash looked, Yannick Dalmas opened the door and walked out to a huge applause. And you can hear the crowd applause on the left-hand side because they saw this unfold right in front of them. But it was great to see Yannick Dalmas climb out uninjured. Calvin?
Well, an update on Yannick Dalmas. We tried to speak to him. He was taken to the medical center. He was obviously in deep shock, Derek. They've got him over in the team motor bus right now. He's not talking to anyone, not even team members. He's still in severe shock. But the great thing is there do not seem to be any physical injuries to him right now, which is amazing when you look at the severity of that incident out on the track. So now Porsche's hopes obviously rest on the number 77 Yost Porsche. And they're running strong. They had some handling problems middle of the afternoon. They really couldn't do double stints on the tires. They seem to have addressed that situation. They're now running at a good pace. And they were really putting the pressure on Wayne Taylor a little earlier here, about an hour or so ago. So there's a real battle up front as they try and chase down that Panos, which is running up front. And for an update on that, Jeff Perner is further down pit lane.
That's right, Calvin. The number 4 Panos is now in the lead. The unfortunate incident with the Porsche was obviously very dramatic. It's very fortunate that he did walk away unscathed. But, you know, sometimes, you know, one person's bad luck is another person's good luck. The Panos entry just came into the pits and had a flawless stop with Andy Wallace getting out, Eric Bernard getting in, and we're with Tony Down now, and he's going to let us know a little bit about the strategy that's going to play out in the rest of the race.
Well, it's actually very easy. It's just one big sprint. There's no strategy in that, Jeff.
Well, what do you think about the Ferrari, the number 7 car? Do you think they have much for you?
I don't know. I think we got them covered, but if we don't, then we don't.
Well, they're pretty confident down here at the number 4 Panos Visteon pit, and let's hope it stays that way. So far, it's been a great day.
Well, I know Tony Dow for many years, and that was a splash of arrogance and confidence all rolled into one. But this car here, since Tony Dow took over the development of it, just got faster and faster and more reliable. They just came off the first win at Sebring recently. However, there was so much rain on that event, it was really a bit of the look of the draw. But here, there's a speed fight now and a sprint all the way to the finish. And can the Visteon backed car beat this Ferrari here? Welcome back to Road Atlanta. Here, Petit Le Mans rolls on. Ferrari chases Porsche and it chases the Panos. But you know it's not going to be too long before darkness will set in here. And yesterday, there was only 2 hours of practice in the dark. Some of the drivers gave a comment on what it was like.
I've driven many laps at Road Atlanta, but never in the dark, and there's several places where it's quite difficult to see the outline of the track in the light. So I thought, well, in the dark it's going to be impossible, but in fact it was great.
It's probably the scariest place ever to drive at night. Other than the lights down the main straight in turn 1, the rest of the track you cannot see a thing.
Oh, it's really, really fun. The lights work really well, but when you're going up and over the hills, they don't. So there's some places you're driving blind, but the 2 white canes with the red stripes on the front bumper help that.
You're howling along there at 180 miles an hour. You don't see where you're going at all. You just know it's there because it was there in the light, and it's a very nice feeling.
In fact, it's a weird sensation because you go through turn 1 and it's uphill, and you go up the hill and all you're looking at is the stars in the sky, and it gets your attention.
There is your top 3 as we know it at the moment. Woodson, Gelders and Wallach, we still show in 5th place, so they did just about hang on to that 5th place. They're only a lap ahead of the number 88 car, Bill Dollarhide, Mike Davies and Anthony Lazzaro, although we saw Lazzaro go off the road again and fill the car full of gravel as the driver change happens. Calvin, are you there?
Yes, I am. Michele Guerrero brings the car in, and it's going to be Ralph Keller's getting in. Excuse me, York Fuller getting into this car. Remember, they had that problem with the rear brake duct there, Derek. And I'm not sure if they're going to address that situation once they've got the fuel in. Obviously, they can't do any work once again until the fuel is completed. Meanwhile, the driver change goes underway, but it looks like they're going to attend to the back end of the car. They're also going to be checking brake pads as well, as at that stage of the race, obviously Muller's in right now. They're trying to get the front wheels on. They're pretty stuck here on this right front of the car. He's getting the big boot now, trying to get it loosened up. As he tries to pull that off, when it comes off, they're probably going to check pads. They had some pads ready. There they go, as at that stage once again with pad, and it looks like they're actually, he's going to be changing pads. He's got some pliers in there. They try and push the pistons back, drop the pads out. They're going to be putting fresh pads in here, so obviously brake wear is a factor now. And that's one thing that's happened with the change, Derek, to the track configuration as well. That long straightaway, that's supposed to be on a fast turn under the bridge, is now really heavy braking and down to second gear for turn 10.
Calvin, it appears that they may have had an off-track excursion when they took the tire off the front. All the dirt and grass came out onto the pavement. Does it appear that there's any damage to the front of the car at all?
Well, I can't see anything specifically, Davey. I mean, obviously a lot of it is just brake dust, but you're right, there is some grass in there, and just on the right front end of the spoiler, there's some other grass, and there is a chance of Michele to run off. Remember when we spoke to Michele earlier in the race, he had grass inside his helmet and on his face, so obviously this is a tough race, and these guys are really battling it out, but as Tony Dow said, this is not just an endurance race, it's a sprint race. These guys are running flat out, and they do have to take some chances.
Well, I can tell you, he has been off the road somewhere. The black dust you see is the carbon from the brakes and the discs are from the brake pads. But that brown dust from that grass, I didn't just get sucked up in there from the racetrack. He's been off a little bit somewhere. You can see brand new tires. You can see the labels still on the tires. He takes it back out onto the racetrack, and the leader just whizzes by. Goes down another lap. Do you see what happened here? Hold on, he's over the curve. They changed all 4 tires. The advantages of the lightweight car, the LMP car, get away with 2 tires on. So they certainly won't change 4 tires again if they're going to try and beat this Panos.
They won't. I mean, they'll try and double stick these tires. Like Scott mentioned, they're not able to double stick tires with the Panos. So if there's any spray strategy that the LMP cars will be able to pull back, they'll be able to double stick these tires.
Now, 1,000 miles or 10 hours, whichever comes first. 1,000 miles, at about 5 hours, we were just past 500 miles. We've had a yellow flag incident since then. So with less than 2 hours to go, this is going to be close to running a full 10 hours. There's the hybrid. Jeff?
Yeah, the hybrid's coming in, the Panos Q9. Doug Grundy was telling me earlier that they've had some problems. Looks like the rear shocks are a problem on the car, and they've had to cut back on the electric power. They're pretty much down to nothing and just running on the gasoline engine. Obviously, that has really slowed them down, but they're still running, and I think that's a testament to how Dave Price Racing is really put out here for the Panos team.
I'll tell you, the Ox is coming in. The Ox is going in there, so he can run 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, whatever it takes. It makes no difference to John Nielsen. He just loves sports car racing and has no intention at 42 years of age of even thinking about walking away from the cockpit.
He's about to be able to drive that could outlast the tires.
Exactly. John Nielsen.
They call this car Sparky. I don't know if you guys knew that, but that's the nickname.
See the pit boys wait. They can put the guns on the wheels. They cannot take the wheels off while the fueler still puts the fuel in. For those of you who were with us earlier here, we explained the pit stop rules here. They are Le Mans rules. You fuel the tank first, then you work on the car, but you only have 2 guns. So you change 2 tires outside or just fronts and just rears. Oh, he's stuck. He's got the gun stuck on.
No, there was a great shot there of the clear screen that covers the headlights, which has been taking a beating all day. And I'll tell you, those lights aren't going to be that effective. That screen is really, really dirty on that nose. Look at that. That screen is pretty much destroyed over those headlights. So that car is not going to be a whole lot of fun to drive in the dark.
And this guy is well outside 10. You show him, we think, in about 15th place. This car also crashed on Friday morning. Went off the racetrack, coming to the last corner here. Windscreen popped out, went backwards down the road, hit the wall. But at least the hybrid is running, still running, and reasonably reliable. That's a good sign. Don't go away, because we will be right back. Rapidly, it's becoming pitch black here. Bright lights down the front straight here, but as you go out in to the down through the S's and to the far end of the racetrack, there is not as much light. It is not as easy to see down there. And the number 76 car, we have hardly seen the man all day, but they have done a stellar job because they currently lead the GT3 standings. Peter Argensinger is in that car. Richard Polidori and Angelo Chili. Angelo is in that car.
And these guys have not, we haven't seen them all day because they've hardly been in the top 5 all day. But they've kept the car on the racetrack. They've kept it going around the racetrack. All of the BMWs, with the exception of one, well, no, the 6 car had a spindle problem. The 1 car had a differential problem. The 10 car had a huge crash. And now all of a sudden the 76 car leads in the GT3 class.
And you know what's even better? The 76 car is ahead of the top GT2 runner. So not only has this car been reliable, it also seems to have been fast and has kept its nose out of trouble.
And we've had a lead change in GT2 because the 81 car, which we saw in the pit lane before the break, has fallen back behind the 04 car of John Graham, John Morton, and Ron Fellows. So Porsche's leading GT2 and GT3.
And as is almost normal, as these long-distance races begin to come to a close or begin to wind down, inevitably you see Porsche's just beginning to creep further and further up the leaderboard with speed, and the speed isn't good enough with reliability. Look at the speed difference here between the Yost Porsche, who just sliced down inside the number 76 Porsche 911 RSR. Is there smoke? That smoke? He's in trouble. He's going to the pit lane. Well, has the torrid pace suddenly broken the Visteon Panos car? We saw smoke. He went straight to the pit lane. That is not a good sign. Jeff?
Yeah, the Visteon Panos car is in. I was trying to find out ahead of time what was going on. I believe there may be an engine problem. I couldn't really get an answer out of everyone, but they're going to go ahead with their usual routine as far as pit stop. And right now, Brabham is in the car. Right now, fired back up, and there they go again. Not quite sure what was taking place there. Certainly, I think they would have come in during that yellow flag if it was just a fuel situation.
That was weird. That was weird. The mechanic looked down. There is oil leaking into the right side exhaust pipe. You can see that. That was smoking when he came in. It was on fire when he went out. So if he is leaking oil...
Yeah, oil on the ground under the Panos car when he took off.
Okay, if he's leaking oil, he better have a big, big tank in that car. And also, no, he's in trouble. He's on fire.
He's done.
He's on fire.
Well, you could see the oil in the pipe or something on the exhaust pipe when he fired it up. But I just think it's so peculiar that they would take the time, drive it into pit lane, stop with fuel in it, and never even look under the bonnet. Never even really have a serious look at the race car.
You know what's going to happen here? He is going to be black flagged and brought in. They will not allow this car to run if they think he is throwing out oil, and he absolutely is dumping oil out. This team, we hear now, is going to bring David Brabham right back in. So Wayne Taylor's job with Emmanuel Collard and Eric Vanderpool in the Ferrari just got a little bit easier. And don't forget, number 77, Alboreto Johansson and Jörg Müller may be right there yet.
Look at
Here's
that.
Smoking Joe here. This is in trouble. They are in trouble. I will tell you now, I bet their day is done. Certainly the challenge for the lead is over.
Well, that's definitely done. You can see And you can see it when it left pit lane. The thing was on fire. It had dropped a bunch of oil on the pipe, and it was on fire.
Now, can they work on this thing and try and fix it? They don't need fuel, and they don't need tires. Let the driver breathe by opening the door. If it's something simple like an oil line, Jeff, can you see anything?
Not yet. They're still taking the hood off the car. Having a little trouble with it. Okay, they're off there. Looking under the hood. As you can tell, a lot of carbon fiber on top of this engine. It's real hard to see anything. In fact, you can't even see the engine. Guys are looking down in there with flashlights trying to determine what has gone wrong. Obviously, there's been a problem here. When the car left the pits the last time, there was a tremendous amount of oil left in pit lane.
And you can see the crewman here on the far side. He is injecting oil into the oil tank. That's what that thing does.
You can see the oil all over the back of the car.
Well, here's the problem here. Maybe they can fill the oil tank, but with the amount of oil that's all over the back of that car, if we could move our camera around to the back of the car, there is oil everywhere. Look at this, just streams down the back of the car. I don't think they'd be allowed to run with the amount of oil coming out of the car. Look at the ground. Look at the ground as he drove in. They will not let that car run. I will be surprised and shocked if they let that car run without finding where that oil is drifting from. There is a picture of disaster for the Panos #4 car, who looked as if maybe he could take on the might of Ferrari and Porsche and win the car that's built just down the road from where we sit. They almost did it. What a shame. What a shame. Victory roster is right behind their pit, and they were oh so close to get there. We have a very welcome guest now in the pit lane, Yannick Dalmas. Calvin?
Yannick, obviously we're watching the monitor right now. You have not seen the incident. We're going to try and replay it for you. First and foremost, are you okay?
Yes, I'm okay. In my accident, I was, I think, lucky, but the car was very safety for the driver. But I don't saw.
We're going to watch it with you, Yannick. If you'd like to watch the monitor right now, we'll show the incident. What is your first reaction there? Obviously, that part of the racetrack, there's a slight crest in the elevation there, and you're very close to the other car.
Yes, I was close, but a little bit uphill. Maybe some interference with the other car, but I don't think so. I don't understand, really.
Did you keep your eyes open through the whole flight? If you watch the monitor again, we're watching it. And Yannick's watching the screen right now in slow motion. You can see the car obviously taking off there. And at this point, he's just along for the ride. What is your thought at this stage of the incident when you're upside down? Are you watching the ground, or what are you seeing?
When I see the TV, I was very impressed about the looping, you know, about the car like a plane, you know. It's difficult to understand, because it's the first time for me to have the accident.
Obviously, we're very pleased that you're okay, Yannick, and we really appreciate your time this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So there's the sad sight of the Panos car, the leading car here. One of the leading lights gets pushed away. But we are all so pleased that Yannick Dalmas walked away from such a huge incident. And here's the picture of the two boys side by side. Johansson may have been right, because the Yost Porsche is now right behind the Ferrari, and he goes down the inside of the braking to turn one. They are now on the same lap. We have 3 laps to go. It is virtually impossible to make up 3 laps, or the whole lap, in just 3. But he is on the same lap. What a fight this has been for Johansson, Jörg Müller, and Michele Alboreto. Müller is behind the wheel. He has stayed in. This is almost a triple stint.
after 1,000 miles to have two cars on the same lap. That says a lot about these race cars and the way they've been driven and the quality of the teams here today.
The headlights just blaze into the camera lens. That is not two sets of brake lights on that car. That has two glowing red exhausts on the Porsche also. I just love to see those glowing brake discs. People don't understand the friction created by these carbon fiber discs. They try and slow these cars down from 180 miles an hour in about 2.5 seconds. Now, we believe we have less than 2 laps to go. Unless this Ferrari runs short on fuel, and we saw him make a splash and go, unless the Ferrari gets a sudden hiccup, this is a charge that is in vain. It is a good charge nonetheless.
You have to do it.
But it will be in vain unless something mechanical goes wrong with Wayne Taylor, Emmanuel Collard, and Eric Van der Poel's Ferrari. Van der Poel is behind the wheel. There he is. We believe he will take the white flag the next time by the starter stand. That is our opinion, and by God, if you don't like it, we can change it.
Really ran trouble-free all race long.
Remember right at the start when they ran a double stint on the tires and they had tire trouble? As soon as they rectified that, they have virtually run trouble-free.
Well, they basically had to do single stints during the day, but they've been able to do the double stints.
Do we see the white flag? Yes, we do. 2.5 miles from victory at the inaugural Petit Le Mans. And it has had a French flavor here all week long. Registration in the Chateau Elan, very French, just up the road from here. Advertising all over the country here, promoting this Le Mans event. European racing cars, the finest from the factory Porsche team. Not too much red wine, yes, but I guarantee you Wayne Taylor's team here, they will have red wine and champagne because they have done a stellar job here. This is turn 6, this is turn 7, the last blast down the hill to turn 10. This is the new design of turn 10 at Road Atlanta, and they can taste the champagne already. This is the celebration that makes all the hours of work worthwhile, and believe me, it is hours and days and nights that it takes to put these cars together.
And I'll tell you, it looks like there's a lot of race fans who have crossed the pit lane and come out onto the pit wall. There's a bunch of crew members, but I see a lot of race fans out there.
And in the booth here, Davy Jones has tasted a scene like this because he drove the car to victory, just like the Ferrari has been driven to victory here. So Wayne Taylor, Emmanuel Collard, and Eric Van der Poel in the car. A job well done. A very hard day's work. And we have some fireworks. Davey, it is a good feeling, isn't it, when you drive that long, that hard, that many pit stops, that many things that could go wrong, and you come home victorious.
It's a great, great feeling. A feeling of relief, you know, not only for you as a driver, but for your whole team, and put all the energy and the efforts going into completing this. And you know, you're holding your breath right down until the checkered flag because you never know. You never know. And, you know, for Eric Van der Poel to drive around, to see the fireworks, to see the fans in the background, he's really, this final lap around is just kind of something all over.
And look at this. The champion Porsche gets into the celebration. There's the number 88 Ferrari, the yellow car right behind them. So, I mean, that's a team. Also, Bill Dollarhide, Mike Davies, and Anthony Lazzaro, they came here probably nowhere near as well prepared for a long-distance race. And they do such a good job to finish in the top 5. The celebrations will be mighty. This is an event that many people hope will begin to stabilize sports car racing in North America for many years to come. Perhaps Don Panos' vision of a Le Mans series on 3 continents starting next year could become a reality, and the heyday of sports car racing may be back again in the next couple of seasons. Eric van der Poel, one of our European visitors, well used to seeing him in North America. South African, of course, Wayne Taylor. So we have a Belgian, a Frenchman, and a South African in an Italian car. So definitely we have victory for the League of Nations here.
Fireworks is going up.
Job well done. Boutsen, Terry Boutsen comes up. They are very good friends, both from Belgium. Terry Boutsen finishes 3rd. I believe our Calvin Fish, as always, is right there.
Eric, what a performance. You said earlier in the day you didn't like the fact that other cars were going around you, but guess what? There were none in front of you at the end. That's what counts.
Yeah, anyway, every races are never finished. But of course it's more easy when you have a top team with top teammates like Manuel and of course Wayne. I think it was just a perfect race. We didn't have any problem. Really, it's just a dream.
The results. This is unofficial until any protests are put in tonight and heard. As you can see, Ferrari, Porsche, Ford, Wiley and Scott, Mark 3. A good run for Leitzinger, Camperdam and Scott Schumacher. There's the number 88 Ferrari. They got away with several incidents, and Jim Downing rolled along as the Mazda normally does. Look at Brabham, Pruitt and Wallace, despite being out for a good part of the last hour, still finish 8th. Peter Argetsinger far enough ahead of Bentley, Besnard, Jeff Schaefer and Dennis Law. So the BMW finishes in the top 10, however second in that category. As we roll through the rest of the winners. Davey, good event? I think so.
It was a great inaugural event for here at Atlanta, and I think it's one that I know that I'm looking forward to coming back to. And all the fans out there, they've had a real taste of what Le Mans is all about, and look forward to it coming back here next year.
Thanks for watching the Petit Le Mans Fox Sports Now. For Jeremy Dale, Davey Jones, Calvin Fish, and Jeff Horner, I'm Derek Daly. Thanks for watching.